Have you ever noticed how your mind never truly stops, even when your body is ready to rest? Tonight, we're going to explore 100 fascinating facts about the human mind, little secrets about how it thinks, imagines, and relaxes. Sit back, get comfortable, and let your thoughts drift gently as we discover how your brain quietly prepares for rest. Fact 1. The mind never fully turns off, even during sleep. It's strange when you think about it, how you can be lying in bed, lights off, everything silent, and yet something in you is still awake, still humming quietly in the background. It's like having a tiny night worker inside your head who refuses to clock out, no matter how much the rest of your body relaxes. And maybe you've felt it before, that soft awareness when you're drifting off, the way your mind still notices the cool air on your face, or the faint sound of a fan, or even the way the blanket settles around you. That's your mind staying online, even when everything else powers down. You might think sleep is like switching off a machine, but it's not. It's more like dimming the lights and letting the room settle into a softer shape. Your thoughts might slow, your muscles loosen, but your mind keeps watch in its own quiet way. It keeps checking the world around you, making sure everything feels safe. And while it's doing that, it also wanders a little. It drifts, reorganizes, cleans up the messy parts from your day. Sometimes it gets playful, drifting into a half dream where faces blur and thoughts melt like warm wax. Even on nights when you feel like you shut down completely, you didn't. A part of you stayed present the whole time, listening for anything unusual, balancing your heartbeat, deciding when to wake you if something didn't feel right. That's why you might rise in the morning with a sense that your mind was there the entire night, watching, thinking, floating, doing the quiet work you never see. And this connects to something you'll hear again later when we talk about dreams and how the mind processes emotions. The mind never leaves you alone in the dark. Even when you're sleeping, it's preparing the next day for you, smoothing out corners, sorting through feelings, holding little pieces of your life gently in its hands. It never fully turns off. It just shifts into a softer way of being, one that works silently, almost beautifully, while you rest. Fact 2. The brain generates dreams as it processes emotions. You've probably had one of those nights where a dream shows up and pulls you into a place that feels familiar, yet slightly tilted. Maybe someone from years ago appears. Maybe a memory blends with a place you've never seen. Maybe you wake up thinking, why did I dream that? And the funny part is, your mind isn't trying to confuse you. It's trying to help you. Dreams aren't random little movies your brain throws at you. They're more like emotional notes. Your mind's way of sorting through feelings it didn't have time to process during the day. Think about it like this. You're going through the entire day collecting tiny bits of worry, excitement, small stresses, old memories stirred up by something simple, moments that pass too fast. By the time you go to bed, all of that is still there, untouched. So while you sleep, your brain starts cleaning up. It picks up an emotion, tries to understand it, moves it around, looks at it from different angles, but instead of using logic, it uses images. That's why dreams feel symbolic sometimes. The brain speaks in pictures at night, not in instructions. A place you've never visited might show up because it matches the feeling you had earlier. A person who hasn't been in your life for a long time might appear because your mind is connecting old emotions with new ones. It's not trying to send secret messages, it's simply sorting, healing, softening the rough edges. And the mind loves to mix things when it dreams. A real memory can blend with imagination. That's its way of saying, let me work this out in a place where you can't interrupt. This is why dreams can feel dramatic, gentle, strange, or deeply comforting. They're emotional processing in motion. Later, when we talk about how deep sleep strengthens memories, you'll see how closely all this connects. Dreams are like the emotional half of the night shift, helping you settle everything you felt but didn't say. And the best part, you don't have to do anything. Your mind does the work for you, quietly, every night. Fact 3. Memories are strengthened during deep sleep. There's something almost comforting about knowing that while you're sleeping, completely unaware, floating in that quiet place, your mind is doing some of its most important work. One of the biggest jobs it takes on at night is strengthening your memories. And it doesn't just pile them somewhere. It organizes them, cleans them up, places them in the right corners of your mind so you can find them later. Think about your day. You live through dozens of moments that feel small at the time. A conversation with someone, a new detail you noticed, something you learned, something that surprised you. All of this stays in your mind, but it doesn't become solid right away. It's like wet paint. It needs time to dry. And deep sleep is when that happens. During deep sleep, your brain starts replaying certain moments. Not like a full video, but more like flipping through snapshots, checking which ones are important, which ones are new, and which ones connect to old memories. That quiet replaying, that's how your mind decides what stays and what fades. It's why learning something right before sleep often makes it stick, and it's why waking up after a night of deep rest can make complicated things suddenly feel clearer. This is also when your mind decides which emotional memories matter. It tries to understand the emotional tone of the day, pairing certain memories with certain feelings. Remember how we talked about dreams being a way to process emotions? Deep sleep is the moment when those emotional pieces lock into place, and there's something gentle about that, isn't there? Knowing that as you lie still, your mind is tucking memories into the right shelves, keeping the ones that matter close, letting the others slowly drift away. It's like the mind is saying, "You rest. I'll handle this part." And it does. Night after night, quietly helping you remember your life more clearly. Fact 4. Most thoughts drift in and out without conscious effort. If you ever sit quietly and notice your thoughts, you'll realize something interesting. Most of them aren't really controlled. They just float by, like leaves on a slow river. One thought appears, then another slips in behind it, and before you can even finish reacting to one, a new one is already forming. That's how natural the mind is. It prefers movement, not stillness. You're not deciding to think most of these thoughts. They show up on their own, shaped by your surroundings, your mood, your memories, something you saw earlier, maybe even a smell or a sound. And they don't stay long. They pass through you with a kind of softness, even if you don't notice it. This drifting is actually your mind's way of staying balanced. It's constantly checking your internal world and your outer world, adjusting tiny things, making sure you're okay. Even when you feel like you're thinking about nothing, you actually are, just not in a loud, obvious way. And that's perfectly normal. Sometimes when you're tired or relaxed, these drifting thoughts become slower, gentler. You might even feel yourself slipping towards sleep as they soften. And that connects beautifully to another idea, how the mind never fully turns off. Even when you think your mind is blank, it's simply shifting into a calmer rhythm. So don't worry if your thoughts wander. That wandering is one of the most natural things your mind does. A quiet movement that happens without your permission, without effort, without pressure. It's just your mind being itself. Fact 5. The mind loves patterns, even in randomness. Have you ever stared at clouds and seen shapes that weren't really there? Or heard a tiny sound at night and thought it meant something? That's your mind trying to find patterns. It loves them. It looks for them everywhere, even in things that are completely random. Humans are wired like this. We feel more comfortable when something has order. Even the smallest pattern can feel like a little anchor in a world that sometimes moves too fast. Your mind does this without you telling it to. It's automatic. You see 2 dots and a line. Your mind says, "Ah, a face." You hear footsteps that are uneven. Your mind tries to make a rhythm out of them. You might not realize it, but this pattern searching helps you make sense of life. It's how you learn, how you remember, how you understand people. It's the reason certain stories feel satisfying, because they follow patterns you already know deep inside. Even when something is random, your mind will try to give it shape. It's not a flaw, it's a comforting trait. It's your mind's way of saying, "Let me help you understand this." And sometimes, especially at night when things are quiet, your brain becomes even more sensitive to patterns. You might notice sounds more clearly, or imagine shapes in the dark, or follow your thoughts in slow, looping paths. That's your mind trying to make sense of the world in its gentle, familiar way. Fact 6. You think in images, more often than in words. Have you ever tried to describe something in your mind and realized it's easier to see it than to explain it? That's because your mind naturally thinks in images. Words are helpful, of course, but they're a kind of translation, a way your brain shares what it already sees internally. Most of the time, the first version of your thoughts exists as pictures, movements, or colours, rather than sentences. Imagine remembering a walk through a park. You probably see the sunlight on the leaves, the shadows moving across the path, even the way someone's hair caught the breeze. You don't instantly think. The sun filtered through the green leaves, creating patterns on the pavement. Your mind captures the scene visually first. Words come later if you want to explain it. This tendency to think visually isn't just about memories. It also shapes how you imagine the future, solve problems, or experience emotions. When you plan something, you might picture it like a mini-movie before deciding what to do. Even feelings can have visual forms, a sense of warmth, a sense of tension, a flicker of colour in your imagination. And the beautiful thing is that this connects to daydreaming, which we'll explore next. When you let your mind wander, it often moves in images first, creating tiny stories or scenes that don't need words at all. Your brain is an artist at heart, quietly sketching scenes while you sit or lie still. Fact 7. Daydreaming activates creative parts of the brain. Daydreaming often gets a bad rap. People say it's wasted time or distraction. But your mind knows better. When you drift off, letting your thoughts roam freely, you're actually waking up the creative parts of your brain. It's like opening a hidden window that fills a quiet room with sunlight. Think about the last time you stared out a window or sat on a bus, and your thoughts wandered. Suddenly ideas appeared out of nowhere. A solution to a problem, a mental sketch for something you wanted to create, or even just a new perspective on a familiar situation. That's your brain connecting dots in ways it couldn't under strict focus. Daydreaming activates networks that combine memory, imagination, and problem solving. It's why artists, writers, and inventors often let their minds drift. They give space to those visual, emotional, and abstract parts of thinking. The same parts you use when you imagine scenes, emotions, or scenarios in your own mind. Even more fascinating is that daydreams aren't random clutter. They're meaningful. They often reflect what your brain is curious about, what it needs to process, or what it wants to explore. And when you let your mind wander safely before sleep, it can gently prepare you for the next day, shaping creative ideas while keeping your emotions balanced. Fact 8. Calm breathing. Signals the brain to relax. It's incredible how something as simple as breathing can influence the mind. Slow, steady breaths send a quiet signal to your brain. It's okay to relax now. Your heart rate eases, your muscles loosen, and the restless chatter of thoughts softens. You might notice this when lying in bed. Take a few slow breaths, feeling the air enter and leave your lungs. Almost immediately the mind starts to slow down. The thoughts that once rushed in lose their urgency. There's a reason meditation, gentle yoga, and mindful breathing all focus on this simple rhythm. The brain responds naturally to calm, controlled air moving in and out. And this doesn't just help you feel calm for a few moments. It actually prepares the mind for sleep, allowing the transition from alert, busy thinking into the gentler rhythms of rest. This works beautifully alongside the mind's natural drifting tendencies we talked about earlier. Fact 9. Your brain produces different brain waves at different times. If we could see your brain at work, we'd notice waves, patterns of electrical activity that shift depending on what you're doing. When you're alert and focused, fast waves ripple through. When you relax, slower waves take over. When you sleep, even slower waves appear. These brain waves reflect how your mind is operating and adjusting to your needs. During a calm evening, as you settle into your bed, your mind gradually shifts from active, fast-paced thinking to slower rhythms. Thoughts become less urgent, daydreams begin to appear, and the brain starts preparing for rest. It's like your mind dimming the lights to match the quiet outside, and understanding these waves helps explain why simple activities, listening to soft music, breathing steadily, or imagining calm scenes, can make you feel ready for sleep. They're in sync with the natural signals your brain is giving itself. Fact 10. Alpha waves appear when you're relaxed and sleepy. Among the many types of brain waves, alpha waves are particularly interesting. They show up when you're in a relaxed, lightly awake state, the kind of calm just before sleep. Alpha waves help reduce stress and clear mental clutter, creating a soft, gentle focus that allows the mind to drift into sleep more easily. You might notice them during quiet moments, lying in bed, gazing out a window, or meditating briefly. The brain shifts into alpha activity naturally, signaling that the day's mental work is done and it's time to slow down. In a way, alpha waves are the mind's lullaby, a gentle rhythm that encourages relaxation and quiet readiness for the night ahead. When you combine this natural rhythm with calm breathing and gentle imagery, it becomes easier to let go of the day and enter that peaceful space where sleep can arrive naturally. Fact 11. The mind is quieter in dim light. Have you noticed how your thoughts feel softer in a dimly lit room? There's something about reduced light that seems to tell the brain, it's okay to relax now. Bright lights can make the mind alert, pushing it into problem-solving mode or making it notice every small detail. Dim light, on the other hand, encourages a gentle slowdown. It's not magic, it's biology. Our brains are wired to respond to light as a signal for activity. When the sun sets or the lights are turned low, the brain releases signals that help calm the nervous system. Suddenly, minor worries and small annoyances feel less pressing. Thoughts drift like soft clouds instead of racing like a busy highway. This is why evening routines often include soft lighting or warm lamps. It's not just aesthetic, it's a way of helping the mind transition from the busy, alert state of the day into the quieter rhythm needed for rest. Pair this dim light with slow breathing or gentle focus on calming images, and your mind starts to fold in on itself like a hammock easing into the night. Even if you're lying awake thinking about your day, that gentle light can reduce the mental noise, letting you notice softer, slower thoughts instead. And later, when we talk about how nostalgia can help the brain feel safe, you'll see how dim light and familiar feelings combine to quiet the mind even further. Fact 12. Nostalgia helps the brain feel safe. There's something comforting about remembering simple, happy moments from the past, a childhood memory, a laugh with a friend, or even a favourite song. That gentle recall, often called nostalgia, isn't just emotional sugar. It's a signal to your brain that life can feel predictable and safe. When the mind drifts to these memories, stress hormones ease a little. You're reminded of times when you were cared for, when things went well, when you felt secure. It's like telling your brain, nothing dangerous is happening right now, you can relax. That's why, especially in the evening, thinking about comforting memories can feel soothing. Even small details, the smell of an old book, the sound of a familiar street, or the texture of a favourite blanket, act as gentle anchors, slowing down racing thoughts. Nostalgia is, in a way, a mental hug, helping the mind settle into a calmer state before sleep, and it ties beautifully to dim light and soft sounds. Combined, these gentle cues create an environment where the mind can finally fold in on itself and prepare for rest, leaving behind the urgency of the day. Fact 13. Soft sounds. Slow down mental activity. Sound can do incredible things to the mind. A loud, sharp noise grabs attention and immediately triggers alertness. Soft, gentle sounds, on the other hand, do the opposite. They encourage the brain to slow down, letting thoughts drift like leaves on a slow stream. It can be the soft patter of rain, the gentle hum of a fan, or even distant wind through trees. Your mind notices these sounds without needing to interpret them, and in doing so, it shifts from high alert to a relaxed state. Thoughts that were racing start to stretch out, drift, and fade, making it easier for sleep to arrive naturally. Musicians and therapists have long known this. Slow rhythms, soft tones, and low-volume background sounds all help calm mental activity. Even when nothing else in the room changes, these gentle noises guide the brain into a quieter, more reflective state. If you pair this with slow breathing and dim light, the effect multiplies. Your mind not only slows but starts to feel safe, calm, and ready for rest. A perfect environment for dreams to begin forming. Fact 14. Thinking slows. Naturally at night. Have you ever noticed how your thoughts feel slower, softer, or less urgent late in the evening? That's not just in your head, it's a natural rhythm of the brain. As night approaches, the mind's activity gradually declines, making room for rest and reflection. It's a little like a river slowing as it reaches a quiet bay. Thoughts are still there, but they move gently instead of rushing. Decisions don't feel urgent, and small worries seem less immediate. Your brain is gradually lowering the volume on mental chatter, preparing itself for sleep. This slowing is also why evening routines work so well. A quiet environment, gentle light, soft sounds, and calm breathing all align with your mind's natural shift, reinforcing the slowdown and making the transition into sleep smoother. Even if you don't actively try to rest, the brain nudges you in that direction. Thoughts slow, patterns appear less urgent, and the mind becomes more open to drifting, imagining, and preparing for rest. Fact 15. The brain cleans itself. While you sleep. Here's a fascinating fact. While you sleep, your brain isn't just resting, it's busy cleaning up. It removes waste products that build up during the day, tidying the neural pathways so your mind can work efficiently the next day. Think of it as a nightly housekeeping session. Cells move fluids around, toxins are cleared, and connections are strengthened. It's quiet work, but essential. Without it, the brain can't perform at its best. This cleaning also explains why good sleep helps with memory, focus, and emotional balance. While you're dreaming, drifting, or simply lying in dim light with soft sounds around you, your brain is taking care of itself behind the scenes. It's a gentle reminder that rest isn't passive. Sleep is productive, nurturing, and essential for your mind's health. And if you think about it, this connects back to our earlier points. Dim light, calm breathing, soft sounds, and slow thoughts all help the brain enter this cleaning mode, supporting deep rest and mental clarity for the next day. Fact 16. Your mind can only focus on one thing at a time. It's a little funny when you realize it. Even though it feels like you're juggling a dozen thoughts at once, your mind can actually focus on only one thing at a time. That's why multitasking often feels exhausting. Your brain isn't truly doing two things at once. It's rapidly switching from one focus to another, like flipping pages in a book, which can leave you feeling scattered. Think about a quiet moment before sleep. You might lie down, scrolling through a phone or thinking about tomorrow. Even then, your brain is picking one thread at a time. That wandering sensation, the drift of one thought to another, isn't failure. It's simply how your mind works. It notices one thing, then another, pausing briefly before moving along. This also explains why focusing on calm images, gentle sounds, or slow breathing can feel so effective at night. By giving your brain one thing to attend to, you reduce mental chatter. Your attention narrows, your thoughts settle, and that single focus makes drifting into sleep much easier. In a way, your brain is happiest when it doesn't have to divide itself, letting the mind fold gently inward as the day comes to a close. Fact 17. Most thoughts last only a few seconds. Have you ever watched your mind while lying in bed? Thoughts appear, drift across your awareness, and then disappear almost instantly. Most thoughts last just a few seconds, popping up like little bubbles on water. You might notice one, feel it, and then it's gone, replaced by something entirely different. This fleeting nature of thoughts is what makes the mind feel restless sometimes. It's not that you're overthinking necessarily. Your brain is naturally curious, scanning memories, emotions, and sensations. It flits from one tiny piece to another, creating a soft, almost dreamlike stream of ideas. At night, this becomes especially noticeable. As your body relaxes, thoughts soften and slow, yet still drift in these quick bursts. That's why gentle breathing, dim lights, or soft sounds can help. They give your mind a steady rhythm to latch onto so it's not bouncing endlessly. In a sense, they help these fleeting thoughts settle down into calm awareness, readying you for rest. Fact 18. The brain is wired to seek comfort. One of the most natural tendencies of the mind is to search for comfort. When something feels stressful, confusing, or overwhelming, your brain instinctively looks for ways to ease tension. Comfort can be physical, like warmth under a blanket, or mental, like thinking about familiar routines, safe spaces, or pleasant memories. Even small things trigger this instinct. A favourite song, the softness of a pillow, or a quiet night can soothe the mind. This wiring isn't about laziness, it's survival. The brain learns to recognise signals that indicate safety and relaxation, and when it does, the body and mind respond by releasing calming chemicals. When you lie down at night, this comfort-seeking wiring works beautifully. You might notice yourself subconsciously seeking a cozy position, or replaying gentle memories. It's all part of the brain's natural rhythm toward relaxation and sleep. Fact 19. Your mind imagines far more than it remembers. The mind has a remarkable talent. It imagines far more than it actually remembers. Memories are selective, often trimmed down to fragments or impressions. Imagination, however, is nearly limitless. It can blend past experiences with fantasies, stretch moments into long scenes, or create entirely new ideas from pieces of what you know. This is why daydreaming, imagining future scenarios, or visualizing peaceful scenes feels so vivid. Your mind is actively weaving a world that goes beyond strict memory, combining emotions, senses, and stories. When lying in bed, this imaginative power is at its most fluid. Without distraction, the brain paints pictures freely, often in a way that feels more real than the day's actual events. Later, when we talk about the brain creating stories to make sense of life, you'll see how imagination and memory work together, shaping experiences into narratives that help you process the world. Fact 20. The mind creates stories to make sense of life. Humans are storytellers by nature, and your mind is constantly weaving narratives, even when you're not aware of it. Every memory, every thought, every fleeting feeling gets fitted into a mental story that explains why things happen. This isn't conscious work. It happens automatically, quietly shaping your perception. Even small moments become part of a story, a conversation you had, a gesture someone made, or a feeling that arose suddenly. The brain pieces them together, linking cause and effect, assigning meaning, and organizing experiences into something understandable. At night, these stories continue, blending with dreams and imagination. They help your mind process the day, understand emotions, and find patterns in what might otherwise feel chaotic. And the beauty is that this story-making doesn't demand attention. It's always there, gently guiding your understanding of the world while preparing you for rest. Your imagination, memory, and story-making together form a quiet rhythm that, if you let it, can carry you gently towards sleep. The mind's narrative is soft, soothing, and endlessly creative, a perfect companion as the day winds down. Fact 21. The brain loves predictable rhythms. There's something deeply satisfying about rhythm, and your brain knows it. Whether it's the steady beat of a song, the tick-tock of a clock, or the gentle sway of your own breathing, predictable patterns are calming. They give the mind a sense of safety, a feeling that things are orderly and manageable. Think about it for a moment. When your day is chaotic, your thoughts feel scattered, almost like a room full of papers blowing in the wind. But when there's a rhythm, even a quiet one, the mind can latch on. It relaxes, follows the flow, and slowly stops trying to control everything at once. That's why bedtime routines, a warm shower, a consistent sleep schedule, or soft music work so well. They create gentle rhythms your brain can recognize, letting it settle into rest. Even our own heartbeat has a rhythm that the brain notices. When you focus on it, breathing in sync or just paying gentle attention, it's like giving your mind a soft anchor. Your thoughts no longer feel scattered. They move more like a slow river than a raging storm. It's a beautiful, natural way the brain finds calm. Fact 22. Light influences your mental state. Have you ever walked into a bright room and felt instantly alert? Or noticed how dim light makes everything feel softer and slower? That's because light has a powerful effect on the mind. The brain responds to brightness and colour, adjusting alertness, mood, and even thought patterns based on what it sees. During the day, sunlight tells your brain, it's time to be awake. Colours, brightness, and shadows all stimulate attention. At night, soft lighting signals the opposite. Relax, wind down. Dim, warm light helps reduce stress, slows mental chatter, and nudges the brain into a calmer rhythm. This connection explains why the right lighting can make such a difference for sleep or relaxation. Soft lamps, candlelight, or the fading sunset aren't just aesthetic. They're cues your brain understands and responds to. Light and dark are subtle guides that gently shape how your thoughts behave. Fact 23. The mind prefers calm when senses are reduced. Your mind thrives when it isn't overloaded. Too much noise, light, or activity keeps the brain alert, scanning, and reacting. Reduce those inputs, and suddenly the mind feels lighter, quieter, more spacious. That's why quiet rooms, dim light, and soft textures can feel so comforting at night. When the senses are calm, the brain doesn't have to work as hard. Thoughts slow down naturally, imaginations drift gently, memories and stories float to the surface without feeling rushed. It's like giving your mind a soft, empty canvas to play on, free from distractions. Even subtle adjustments help. Turning off notifications, closing the blinds, or lowering the volume around you can make your mental environment just as important as the physical one. The quieter your senses, the calmer your mind becomes, and the easier it is to drift into sleep. Fact 24. You can influence your thoughts with your breathing. It's amazing how something as simple as breathing can guide your mind. When you take slow, steady breaths, your brain receives a signal. It's safe to relax. Your heartbeat slows slightly, muscles loosen, and restless thoughts begin to soften. Try it now. Inhale gently for a count of 4. Pause for a moment, then exhale for 4. Notice how your mind reacts. Even fleeting worries seem less urgent. Thoughts feel more organized, flowing slowly instead of rushing. That's because your breathing has a direct effect on the nervous system, helping the brain move from alertness into calm. Over time, using this technique before sleep can train your mind to follow a rhythm of relaxation. The simple act of focusing on breath becomes a bridge, connecting the active day to a quiet, peaceful night. Fact 25. The brain is more creative when tired. It might seem counterintuitive, but your brain often becomes more imaginative when it's slightly tired. When alert and focused, the mind filters out distractions and thinks logically. But when fatigue sets in, those filters loosen, allowing unusual connections and new ideas to emerge. Ever notice that some of your best ideas come when you're half asleep, daydreaming, or relaxing in bed? That's your brain taking advantage of low energy to explore freely, mixing memories, emotions, and imagination into creative insights. This is why the moments before sleep can feel magical for ideas or reflections. The mind drifts naturally, relaxed by rhythms, light and calm surroundings, yet open enough to create, imagine, and discover. The quiet, gentle state of rest doesn't just prepare you for tomorrow. It gives your mind space to wander, dream, and innovate in its own soft way. Fact 26. Gentle repetition relaxes mental activity. Have you ever noticed how a softly repeated sound or motion can make you feel calm? It could be the rhythmic ticking of a clock, the gentle sway of a hammock, or even the repeated lines of a favourite poem. Your brain loves gentle repetition because it's predictable. When it notices a pattern repeating without surprises, it doesn't have to work as hard to anticipate what comes next. Thoughts slow down, tension eases, and a quiet sense of peace settles in. This is why lullabies and soft chants feel so comforting. Even the simplest repeated patterns give the brain a kind of soft anchor. Your mind isn't scrambling to process new information, so it can drift more freely. When you're lying in bed, repeating small phrases in your head or noticing the soft rhythm of your breath, your thoughts start to follow that same gentle pace. Repetition doesn't just soothe the conscious mind, it also eases the subconscious. Those quiet, repeated experiences give your brain a subtle message. Nothing sudden is happening. It's okay to relax. And as you'll see in the next fact, that prepares your mind to drift naturally towards sleep. Fact 27. The mind drifts naturally before sleep. Have you ever lain in bed, eyes closed, and noticed how your thoughts slowly wander? It's almost magical. One moment you're thinking about dinner, the next you're imagining a quiet beach, and then you're barely aware of anything at all. That drifting isn't a mistake. It's your brain's natural way of transitioning into sleep. Before sleep, the mind moves from active problem-solving to gentle reflection. Thoughts become softer, less urgent, and more fluid. It's a natural winding down, like a boat slowing on calm water. You might notice a memory surfacing or a small scene forming in your imagination. These drifts help the brain release the day's tension, making space for rest. This is why trying to force sleep rarely works. The mind has its own gentle rhythm. By letting thoughts drift, by noticing them without pushing or grabbing, you align with the natural flow that prepares the brain for deep rest. It's subtle, quiet, and incredibly effective. Fact 28. The brain can calm itself when reminded of safety. One of the most comforting things your brain can do is respond to signals of safety. Even small cues, a cozy blanket, a familiar scent, or a soft, quiet room, can tell your mind everything is okay. And when it gets that message, it naturally slows down, relaxes, and allows thoughts to soften. Think about lying in bed, noticing the gentle sounds around you, feeling the warmth of your blanket. Your brain recognizes these as safe conditions. The parts that keep you alert relax, stress levels drop, and the mind can drift gently into calmness. It's a subtle reassurance, your own internal signal that everything is okay, letting the brain do its quiet nighttime work. This calming response also connects beautifully with repetition, soft rhythms, and dim light. Together, they create a gentle environment that reinforces the brain's sense of safety, making it easier for your thoughts to slow and your body to rest. Fact 29. Smells trigger memories. Quickly. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly remembered a moment from years ago just from a smell? Maybe it's fresh bread, rain on pavement, or a particular perfume. Smells have a unique way of reaching deep into memory. They bypass the slower parts of the brain and connect directly with emotional and memory centers, triggering vivid recollections almost instantly. This is why certain scents can feel comforting at night. The smell of a familiar pillowcase, scented candles, or even fresh sheets can gently remind your mind of safety and warmth. A fleeting memory surfaces, emotions soften, and your brain begins to relax. It's a subtle, effortless way to support calmness and prepare for sleep. Even when the day has been chaotic, a simple smell can act like a soft nudge, guiding the mind back to a place of comfort and peace. Fact 30. The mind simplifies complicated things at night. Have you noticed how problems or worries that felt overwhelming during the day often seem smaller at night? That's your brain's natural way of simplifying things. When mental activity slows, the mind stops overanalyzing every detail and starts looking at the bigger picture. Complex situations become less intense. Thoughts lose their sharp edges. You might find yourself seeing solutions or connections that weren't obvious earlier. It's like the brain is clearing fog, giving you a softer, calmer perspective. This simplification is part of why sleep is so restorative. The mind isn't just resting, it's organizing, prioritizing, and gently untangling the knots of daily life. By the time you wake, things often feel clearer, lighter, and more manageable. Fact 31. The brain notices silence. Have you ever walked into a completely quiet room and suddenly felt your mind slow down? Silence isn't just the absence of noise, it's an invitation for the brain to relax. When there's nothing competing for attention, the mind notices the stillness and begins to follow it. Thoughts drift gently, and mental chatter softens, almost like the tide settling after a busy day. This is why moments of quiet before bed feel so restorative. Even a few minutes of calm can give your brain a chance to reset. It starts noticing smaller, softer things. The rise and fall of your breath, the feel of a blanket, the subtle rhythm of your heartbeat. Silence is like a gentle signal. The world is calm and it's safe for your mind to rest. And interestingly, this ties into how the mind responds to warmth and gentle rhythms. All of these cues, silence, warmth, and slow patterns, work together to tell the brain it's time to relax and prepare for sleep. Fact 32. Your mind responds to warmth. There's something almost instinctive about warmth. A cozy blanket, a warm bath, or even just a sunlit spot can make the mind feel safer and calmer. It's not just comfort, it's biological. Your brain senses warmth as a signal that the environment is safe and stable, allowing mental tension to ease. When your mind detects warmth, it begins to slow down. Thoughts become gentler, and the nervous system moves toward relaxation. That's why evening routines often include warm drinks, soft blankets, or heated beds. They aren't just habits, they're ways to help the brain enter a calm, restful state. Even small warmth cues, like the gentle heat of a hand or the sunlight through a window, can subtly guide the mind towards softness. The brain picks up on these details, quietly letting go of alertness and preparing for rest. Fact 33. Slow blinking signals sleepiness. It's a tiny, almost invisible signal, but slow blinking can tell a lot about how your brain is preparing for sleep. As your eyelids close more slowly, the brain recognizes that alertness is winding down. It's part of a larger rhythm your body and mind follow naturally as the day comes to an end. Notice it the next time you're lying in bed, eyes heavy and thoughts drifting. The gentle slowing of blinking is more than a physical act. It's a cue that your nervous system is signaling, it's okay to rest now. Coupled with calm breathing, soft lighting and gentle thoughts, slow blinking becomes part of the mind's natural transition towards sleep and dream preparation. It's amazing how subtle actions like this quietly coordinate with other sleep signals, from dim light to rhythmic breathing, guiding your brain toward a state of calm readiness. Fact 34. The mind slows to prepare for dreams. As the night deepens, the mind begins a natural slowdown, almost like lowering the volume of a busy orchestra. Thoughts lose urgency, distractions fade, and mental activity becomes softer. This slowing isn't laziness, it's preparation for dreaming. Dreams emerge most vividly when the brain is calm yet active enough to create imagery, weave emotions, and explore memories. By gradually slowing, your mind creates the perfect environment for dream work. It's a gentle transition from the busy logic of the day into a flowing, imaginative state. So, the next time you're lying quietly in bed and notice your thoughts softening, remember, your mind is getting ready to wander through a world of images, stories, and feelings, all while keeping you safely relaxed. Fact 35. Imagining peaceful places reduces stress. One of the simplest ways to calm the mind is to imagine a place that feels peaceful. It could be a quiet forest, a gentle beach, or even a cozy corner of your own home. When the mind visualizes calm spaces, it responds as if you're actually there. Stress hormones ease, muscles relax, and thoughts slow. The brain reacts to imagination in ways similar to real experiences. Soft mental imagery can lower tension and create a sense of safety. That's why visualization exercises, guided imagery, or even daydreaming about calm scenes work so well before sleep. Imagine lying on a soft, quiet beach, waves moving gently, sun warming your skin. Your mind begins to follow the rhythm, noticing small details, soft sounds, and gentle movement. In doing so, stress melts away, leaving space for relaxation and for dreams to form naturally. Fact 36. The brain relaxes. When hearing stories, there's something almost magical about listening to a story. Whether it's a friend telling a memory, a podcast, or a soft bedtime tale, the brain responds in a calm, gentle way. Stories give your mind a rhythm to follow, a narrative to focus on, and suddenly, the chaos of scattered thoughts eases. When you listen, the brain engages with images, emotions, and patterns without demanding effort. It doesn't have to plan, solve problems, or make decisions. It can simply follow the flow. That's why storytelling is so relaxing at night. Even simple tales, soft and unhurried, act like a mental lullaby, giving your mind permission to slow down and drift toward rest. It's fascinating because this connects to imagination and dream preparation. As your mind follows the story, it starts creating visuals, weaving emotions, and softening the day's tension. By the end, your thoughts feel quieter, more organized, and ready for sleep. Fact 37. Thoughts fade faster when you're lying down. Have you noticed that your racing thoughts feel easier to manage when you're lying in bed? That's not coincidence. The physical act of lying down signals the brain that it can release tension. Gravity, posture, and comfort all contribute to calming mental activity. When upright, your mind is alert, scanning the environment, ready to react. But when lying down, your body communicates safety, and the brain slows its processes. Thoughts that seemed urgent moments ago begin to fade faster. The busy chatter softens, leaving space for gentle imagination or peaceful reflection. Combine this with soft lighting, rhythmic breathing, or a calm environment, and the effect multiplies. Your mind naturally shifts into a slower, quieter mode, easing the transition towards sleep. Fact 38. Your mind loves gentle, soft detail. The brain has a remarkable preference. It notices small, soft details and responds with calm attention. A gentle movement, a subtle colour, the quiet ripple of water, these aren't just pleasant, they actually encourage the mind to slow down. When thoughts are heavy or the day feels overwhelming, focusing on gentle detail gives the mind something small and safe to hold on to. It's like giving your brain a tiny anchor, letting it rest while still staying lightly engaged. At night, this might be the texture of a blanket, the soft hum of a fan, or even the shapes of shadows on the wall. These small, quiet details help the mind drift into relaxation naturally, preparing it for the slower rhythms of sleep. Fact 39. The brain prefers softness before sleep. Your brain has an unspoken preference for softness in the evening. It responds to soft light, gentle sounds, slow movements, and calm touch. Hard edges, harsh noises, or abrupt changes stimulate alertness, keeping thoughts active. Softness, on the other hand, signals that it's safe to let go, slow down, and prepare for rest. This is why bedtime routines often include soft sheets, dim lamps, quiet music, or gentle stories. The brain notices these cues and adjusts its rhythm accordingly. It's a subtle, natural shift that eases mental activity, reduces stress, and creates a space where sleep can come more easily. Softness isn't just comfort. It's an invitation for the mind to relax. When you honour this natural preference, falling asleep feels smoother, gentler, and more effortless. Fact 40. The mind organises the day's events during rest. While you sleep, your mind is quietly sorting, filing, and organising everything that happened during the day. It doesn't need conscious effort. It simply replays experiences, strengthens memories, and decides which details are important to keep. This mental organisation is part of what makes rest so restorative. By the time you wake, your mind has already processed challenges, absorbed lessons, and made connections that weren't obvious during the busy day. Even subtle emotions and fleeting moments find their place, leaving your brain lighter and clearer. It's a gentle reminder that rest isn't passive. Your mind is always at work, quietly arranging experiences, softening edges, and preparing you for tomorrow. The calm, dim, gentle environment you create at night helps this process flow smoothly, making sleep both restorative and mentally nourishing. Fact 41. Slow rhythms, calm inner thoughts. There's something deeply soothing about slow, steady rhythms. A gentle drum beat, the sway of a hammock, or even your own steady breathing can guide the mind into calmness. When the brain notices a predictable rhythm, it stops scanning for surprises and begins to relax. Thoughts that felt urgent start to soften, drifting like leaves on a calm river. This is why bedtime routines often work best when slow and consistent. Even small, repeated actions, folding clothes, sipping tea, or listening to quiet music, create subtle rhythms your mind can follow. That gentle predictability tells the brain, it's safe, you can let go. The effect is almost like a mental massage, loosening tension and preparing the mind for sleep. Fact 42. The brain enjoys familiar sounds. Your brain is wired to respond positively to sounds it recognises. Familiar noises, the soft hum of a fan, the distant chatter of a quiet street, or even a favourite song, signal safety and stability. They tell the mind that everything is as it should be, and there's no immediate need for alertness. At night, these familiar sounds can act like a lullaby for the brain. Even if you don't actively pay attention, the mind notices them in the background, allowing thoughts to drift gently and easing tension. Familiar sounds aren't just pleasant, they're calming anchors for a busy mind. Fact 43. Recalling simple memories helps you fall asleep. There's a reason people often think about happy childhood moments or small comforting events at bedtime. Simple memories activate a sense of safety and familiarity, signaling to your brain that it's okay to relax. When you recall a memory of a calm day, a gentle laugh, or a quiet evening, your mind slows its racing thoughts. The busy, complex problems of the day fade into the background, replaced by soft, comforting imagery. This mental habit is like a gentle bridge between wakefulness and sleep, helping the brain ease into rest naturally. Fact 44. The mind enjoys imagining. Quiet moments. Your imagination is incredibly powerful, and your mind loves to wander into peaceful, quiet places. Imagining a serene lake, a gentle snowfall, or a slow walk through a forest can slow mental activity almost instantly. When the brain visualizes calm scenes, it treats them almost as real experiences. Heart rate lowers, thoughts soften, and stress begins to fade. Even brief moments of mental wandering into quiet spaces prepare the mind for sleep. This is why guided imagery, daydreaming, or simply imagining tranquility can feel so restorative at night. Fact 45. Your brain is more open to suggestion. When tired. It might sound surprising, but the brain becomes more receptive to gentle suggestions when you're tired. When alert, the mind is busy, analytical, and resistant to influence. As fatigue sets in, those protective filters relax, allowing subtle ideas, calming cues, or positive imagery to be more easily accepted. This is why bedtime stories, soft guidance, or repeated calming phrases are so effective at night. The brain is naturally more willing to follow gentle suggestions, whether it's imagining a peaceful scene, focusing on slow breathing, or letting go of stress. Sleep becomes not only a time of rest, but also a moment when the mind can be guided toward relaxation and mental ease. Fact 46. Soft descriptions reduce mental tension. Have you ever noticed how a gentle, vivid description can make you feel calm? Whether it's imagining a soft sunset, a quiet stream, or a warm room, the mind responds to gentle imagery with relaxation. Unlike harsh or abrupt details, soft descriptions don't demand attention or urgency. They invite the brain to drift, letting thoughts loosen and tension melt away. This is why bedtime stories or calming narratives feel so comforting. The words don't just tell a story, they shape the mind's rhythm. Soft, gentle details encourage the brain to slow down, making it easier to release the day's stress. Even a few minutes of focusing on calming imagery can create a peaceful mental space where sleep begins naturally. Fact 47. The mind processes emotions overnight. While you sleep, your brain is quietly organizing and processing emotions from the day. Small annoyances, fleeting joys, and lingering worries all get sorted, understood, and sometimes even transformed. This happens without your conscious effort, allowing the mind to let go of tension while keeping important lessons or insights. This emotional processing is one reason a good night's sleep often makes challenges feel smaller or solutions clearer. The mind uses the quiet of rest to work through feelings, helping you wake up more balanced and ready for the day. Even when you think your brain is off, it's actively taking care of your emotional well-being. Fact 48. The quieter your environment, the slower your thoughts. Silence is more than peaceful. It actually affects the speed of your thoughts. The brain responds to fewer stimuli by naturally slowing down. Thoughts that were once urgent or scattered drift gently, making mental chatter feel lighter and easier to manage. This is why quiet bedrooms, dim light, and reduced noise help with relaxation. By giving your mind a calmer external environment, you encourage it to mirror that calm internally. The slower pace of thought creates the perfect foundation for sleep, making it easier for the brain to shift into rest and dream states. Fact 49. Your brain conserves energy. When relaxing, resting isn't just a pause, It's an active energy-saving process for the brain. When you slow down, thoughts soften, and attention isn't constantly scanning for stimuli, your mind uses less energy. Neural activity becomes more efficient, and the brain can focus on restorative tasks like memory consolidation and emotional processing. This is why relaxation before bed feels restorative beyond just comfort. The brain is quietly recharging, conserving energy for tomorrow while gently preparing for sleep. Even small habits like slow breathing, dim lighting, or soft sounds support this natural energy conservation. Fact 50. The mind finds comfort in repetition. Patterns and repetition are like a gentle hug for the mind. Whether it's a soft rhythm, a repeated phrase, or a familiar routine, repetition gives the brain predictability and security. When the mind doesn't have to constantly adapt or anticipate surprises, tension eases naturally. This is why consistent bedtime routines, lullabies, or even soft repeated thoughts are so effective. The mind responds with calmness, allowing attention to drift slowly and comfortably. Gentle repetition isn't just comforting. It's a key tool your brain uses to relax and prepare for the night. Fact 51. Calm narration slows brainwave activity. There's a subtle magic in calm, steady narration. Whether it's a soft-spoken story or gentle instructions, your brain picks up on the rhythm and tone, naturally slowing its activity. Brainwaves begin to shift from alert, fast patterns to slower, relaxed ones. Thoughts lose their urgency, mental chatter softens, and the mind drifts toward rest. This is why bedtime stories or calming podcasts are so effective. The voice doesn't just carry words, it carries a pace and tone your brain can follow. Even without consciously listening to every detail, your mind responds to the gentle rhythm, creating a sense of ease that prepares you for sleep. Fact 52. The mind becomes more reflective at night. As the day winds down, your mind naturally moves into a reflective state. Thoughts aren't racing to solve problems or respond to new information. They begin to explore ideas, memories, and emotions gently. This reflection is quiet, sometimes drifting into imagination, sometimes revisiting small moments that shape the day. This reflective state is part of the brain's nightly routine. It helps you make sense of experiences, notice patterns, and even process feelings without pressure. Lying in bed, in dim light, your mind naturally turns inward, creating a calm space for insight and gentle mental organization. Fact 53. Your brain replays moments from the day. While you rest, your brain often replays fragments of the day. A conversation, a passing thought, a small interaction. They surface in your mind softly, like images in a slow slideshow. This isn't idle activity. It's part of how your brain consolidates memories and processes emotions. By quietly revisiting moments, your mind strengthens important connections, sorts details, and sometimes even reshapes how you view events. It's a subtle, behind-the-scenes mental housekeeping that happens as thoughts drift and slow. Even fleeting glimpses of these moments help prepare the brain for deeper rest and dreaming. Fact 54. You imagine more, vividly in the dark. There's a reason the mind often feels more creative or imaginative in the dark. Without visual distractions, the brain can focus on inner imagery. Shapes, scenes, and stories form more clearly. Emotions feel more vivid, and imagination flows more freely. This is why lying in a quiet, dark room can spark mental wandering that feels almost dreamlike. Your brain can explore ideas, replay memories, or create entirely new scenes without interruption. The darkness isn't empty. It's a canvas your mind loves to paint on, quietly preparing for sleep and dreams. Fact 55. The brain loves symmetry. Humans naturally notice and enjoy symmetry, and the brain responds with a sense of calm when patterns feel balanced. Symmetry signals order and predictability, which eases mental tension and creates a sense of mental comfort. Even in subtle ways, a tidy room, evenly spaced objects, or balanced sounds, symmetry signals the brain that the environment is safe and manageable. At night, noticing or imagining symmetrical patterns can help thoughts settle, creating an internal sense of balance that makes relaxation and sleep easier. Fact 56. Your mind follows a natural nightly rhythm. Have you ever noticed that your thoughts, energy, and focus seem to change as the day progresses? That's because your mind follows a natural nightly rhythm, quietly shifting from alertness to calm. Early in the day, the brain is busy, fast, and analytical, scanning for problems, remembering tasks, and making decisions. As night falls, the rhythm changes. Mental activity slows, attention softens, and the mind begins to prepare for rest. This rhythm is subtle but powerful. You may not notice every shift, but it influences how easily you can relax or fall asleep. By evening, your brain naturally seeks quieter, slower inputs, gentle light, soft sounds, and predictable patterns. Thoughts that felt pressing during the day begin to drift gently, almost like leaves on a slow-moving stream. Even small cues help reinforce this nightly rhythm. Dim lights, calm music, or a steady bedtime routine signal the brain that it's time to transition from activity to reflection and rest. Your mind gradually follows this rhythm without force or effort. The gentle flow of thought, the softening of attention, and the winding down of the nervous system all combine to create a natural pathway into sleep. Interestingly, following this rhythm doesn't just help you fall asleep, it also enhances mental restoration. As the mind aligns with its natural night cycle, it can process emotions, consolidate memories, and prepare for the next day. The rhythm is like a slow dance, guiding your brain through stages of calm and reflection, eventually leading into the dream state. By recognizing and honoring this natural nightly rhythm, you can make sleep feel more effortless. Simple practices, like keeping a consistent sleep schedule, dimming lights, and creating a calm environment, help your mind follow its natural flow. Once you settle into this rhythm, sleep comes more gently, and the mind emerges refreshed and organized the next morning. Fact 57. Thoughts become gentler. Before sleep. As bedtime approaches, your thoughts undergo a remarkable transformation. What might have felt urgent, messy, or overwhelming during the day begins to soften. The mind moves from sharp, active thinking into gentler, reflective patterns. Problems that seemed intense suddenly feel smaller, and fleeting memories float by like soft clouds instead of stormy waves. This shift is part of the brain's natural preparation for sleep. During the day, your mind is constantly alert, analyzing details, scanning for potential problems, and juggling multiple priorities. But as evening comes, the need for constant attention decreases. Thoughts become slower, emotions soften, and mental chatter fades. This gentle transformation is why nighttime often feels like a time for reflection or creativity. Your mind can explore ideas, imagine scenarios, or process emotions without the pressure of immediate action. Even simple practices, like lying in bed with dim light, focusing on breathing, or visualizing calm scenes, amplify this effect. They allow thoughts to drift more freely, reinforcing the natural gentleness of the pre-sleep mind. By letting your thoughts soften, you create a mental environment where relaxation flows naturally. You don't need to force sleep. Instead, your mind gradually shifts into a state of calm readiness, preparing for dreams and deep rest. Fact 58. The brain prefers slow, steady sounds. Your brain has a natural preference for slow, steady sounds, especially when winding down at night. Rapid, abrupt noises trigger alertness and keep mental activity high. Slow, rhythmic sounds, however, act as a signal that it's safe to relax. Think about the gentle patter of rain, the soft hum of a fan, or the slow rhythm of distant waves. These sounds don't demand focus, they provide a comforting backdrop. Your mind responds by slowing down, allowing thoughts to drift gently. Breathing becomes calmer, muscles relax, and mental chatter softens. This preference is why soft, steady sounds are often used in meditation, relaxation exercises, and sleep aids. The brain naturally synchronizes with predictable rhythms, creating a quiet internal environment that encourages rest. Even brief exposure to these sounds before sleep can make a noticeable difference in mental calmness and ease of falling asleep. Fact 59. You can calm your mind by focusing on one thought. Even though the mind can't truly multitask, it can wander endlessly, a fact that sometimes makes falling asleep difficult. One way to guide it gently is by focusing on a single thought, image, or sensation. This could be the rise and fall of your breath, a peaceful scene, or a comforting memory. By concentrating on one thing, you give the brain a soft anchor. Mental chatter begins to settle because the mind isn't constantly switching between ideas. Each return to that single focus reinforces calm, allowing thoughts to drift more gently around it, rather than racing uncontrollably. This method works best in quiet, dim environments. The single thought acts like a lighthouse in the dark, steady, comforting, and guiding your brain toward rest. Over time, the mind naturally follows this focus, slowing its pace and preparing for sleep. Fact 60. The mind is soothed by low, warm tones. Low, warm sounds have an almost magical effect on the brain. Unlike high-pitched or sharp noises which trigger alertness, warm tones create a sense of safety and calm. Think of a deep hum, a soft cello note, or even the gentle voice of someone speaking slowly. These sounds signal to the brain that the environment is safe, encouraging relaxation. Mental activity slows, thoughts drift more gently, and the nervous system begins to prepare for rest. Even a few minutes of listening to low, warm tones before bed can help guide the mind into a calm, sleep-ready state. When combined with dim light, gentle rhythms, and soft focus on one thought, low tones become part of a larger pattern that helps the brain settle naturally. The mind responds with quiet ease, preparing both body and imagination for a night of restorative rest. Fact 61. Your brain fixes small problems during rest. Even when you're lying quietly in bed, seemingly doing nothing, your brain is hard at work. One of its most fascinating nighttime abilities is problem solving during rest. Small issues, minor decisions, or incomplete thoughts from the day often get sorted subconsciously. Your mind reviews details, tests possibilities, and sometimes even arrives at solutions without conscious effort. This is why ideas or solutions sometimes appear first thing in the morning, or even in the middle of a dream. Your brain quietly pieces together fragments of information, combining memories, observations, and emotions to resolve what might have seemed confusing earlier. It's like a gentle workshop running in the background, repairing small mental gaps and smoothing out uncertainties. By creating a calm environment, dim light, slow breathing, and minimal distraction, you allow the brain to focus more effectively on these subtle processes. Even as your body rests, your mind continues its quiet, restorative work, preparing you for the day ahead with clearer thoughts and lighter mental load. Fact 62. The mind wanders freely when not distracted. Have you noticed that when the world is quiet, your mind seems to roam effortlessly? When distractions are removed, no screens, no sudden noises, no urgent tasks, thoughts drift naturally from one idea to another. Memories, imaginings, and reflections weave together in a soft, unstructured flow. This wandering isn't random chaos. It's a sign your brain is exploring, processing, and even rehearsing possibilities. Nighttime is perfect for this because distractions fade and the mind is free to follow its natural curiosity. You might imagine gentle scenes, revisit meaningful moments, or simply float through fleeting thoughts. Allowing the mind to wander like this is restorative. Without the pressure of urgent tasks, the brain can organize itself, uncover subtle insights, and release tension accumulated during the day. The softer the environment, the more gently your thoughts drift, and the easier it becomes to slip into restful sleep. Fact 63. You think more abstractly at night. Even though the mind slows before sleep, it often becomes more abstract and creative. Complex problems, big picture ideas, or imaginative scenarios can emerge more easily at night because the brain relaxes its strict daytime filters. Logic softens, patterns loosen, and connections appear that might never have been obvious during the busy hours of the day. This abstract thinking can show up in dreams, but it also appears while lying quietly awake. You might find yourself reflecting on ideas metaphorically, imagining possibilities, or mentally exploring what-if scenarios. The brain thrives in this abstract mode, using the quiet of night to stretch creativity and perspective in ways that feel gentle and effortless. Fact 64. The brain can relax, even if the body is still awake. One of the remarkable things about the human mind is its independence from the body. Even if your muscles are tense, your body alert, or your eyes open, the brain can still enter a state of relaxation. Mental calm doesn't always require physical stillness. It can be initiated through focus, breathing, or gentle visualization. For example, focusing on a single thought, imagining a peaceful scene, or listening to soft, steady sounds can quiet the mind even if the body hasn't fully relaxed yet. This is why meditation and pre-sleep practices are so effective. They allow the brain to slow and unwind, paving the way for eventual physical rest and sleep. Fact 65. Thinking of water calms. Many people. Water has a unique ability to soothe the mind. Just imagining gentle waves, a soft river, or a quiet rain can trigger relaxation. The sound and rhythm of water are naturally slow and steady, and the brain interprets them as safe, familiar, and calming. This mental imagery works because the mind responds not only to actual experiences, but also to imagined ones. Visualizing water's movement or listening to its sound can lower heart rate, soften thoughts, and create a sense of mental space. Many people find that thinking of water, whether a lake, ocean, or stream, helps them release tension and prepare for restful sleep. Fact 66. Soft lights. Reduce mental stimulation. Have you ever noticed how harsh, bright lights make your thoughts feel sharper or even restless? That's because the brain responds strongly to visual stimuli. In contrast, soft, dim lighting reduces mental stimulation and signals to the mind that it's time to slow down. Soft lights don't demand attention or processing, so your thoughts naturally become gentler. Shadows, warm tones, or a low glow create an environment that encourages calm and reflection. Even small adjustments, like a bedside lamp instead of a ceiling light, can have a noticeable effect on how your mind prepares for rest. By reducing mental stimulation, soft lights help guide the brain into a rhythm more suited to sleep. They create a quiet backdrop where thoughts can drift gently, making relaxation feel effortless rather than forced. It's a subtle but powerful cue that your mind recognizes and responds to naturally. Fact 67. Your mind responds to comfortable surroundings. The environment around you has direct effect on your brain's state. Comfortable surroundings, soft sheets, a cozy blanket, a supportive pillow, signal safety and stability. When the brain notices these comforts, it relaxes, allowing mental activity to slow. Even small adjustments can make a difference. The texture of your bedding, the temperature of the room, or the arrangement of furniture can subtly influence how easily your mind unwinds. Comfortable surroundings aren't just physical luxury. They're a mental cue that it's safe to let go, drift, and prepare for sleep. This is why bedtime routines often include creating a cozy, familiar environment. Your mind responds immediately, softening thoughts and emotions, letting the day fade gently and opening the way for rest. Fact 68. The brain settles. When you feel secure, security isn't just emotional, it's physiological. When your brain perceives that you're safe and protected, it begins to settle. The nervous system slows, stress signals fade, and mental activity becomes gentler. This feeling of security can come from many sources: being in a familiar place, wrapped in a warm blanket, or simply knowing that the environment is calm and predictable. Your brain interprets these cues as all is well, allowing thoughts to drift and the mind to relax. Even subtle reminders of safety, like a quiet room or soft sounds, reinforce this effect. Feeling secure is one of the most important mental signals for sleep. When the mind knows it's safe, it can shift focus from alertness to rest, creating a space where dreams and relaxation flow naturally. Fact 69. The mind relaxes. When imagining distance. Imagining distance can have a surprisingly calming effect on the mind. Visualizing wide open spaces, quiet landscapes, or far-off horizons gives the brain a sense of space and freedom. Mental boundaries soften, and the mind experiences a gentle sense of release. This technique works because the brain responds to perspective. When you imagine being far away from stresses or daily concerns, your thoughts slow and mental tension decreases. The mind drifts outward, exploring gentle expanses rather than focusing on immediate pressure. Even a few moments of imagining distant places before bed can make relaxation easier and more natural. Fact 70. Your thoughts slow when you close your eyes. Closing your eyes is one of the simplest yet most effective ways to calm the mind. When visual input is removed, the brain no longer needs to process incoming stimuli. Attention drifts inward, thoughts soften, and mental activity naturally slows. This is why lying in bed with eyes closed feels immediately different from sitting awake with your eyes open. The act signals to the brain that external vigilance is no longer necessary, letting it relax and prepare for sleep. Combined with soft lights, gentle surroundings, and calming imagery, closing your eyes becomes a gateway into a quiet, restorative mental state. Fact 71. The brain enjoys gentle mental images. Your brain has a remarkable love for gentle mental images, soft, calming scenes, like a quiet meadow, a slow-moving river, or a warm sunset, naturally draw your mind in. Unlike busy or harsh imagery, gentle visuals don't demand attention or create tension. Instead, they guide your thoughts into a smooth, flowing rhythm. When you picture these calming scenes, your brain responds almost as if you're actually there. Heart rate can slow slightly, muscles relax, and mental chatter softens. Even fleeting glimpses of peaceful imagery help your mind transition from the busyness of the day to a quieter, more reflective state. This is why visualization exercises and gentle daydreaming are so effective at promoting calm before sleep. Fact 72. Your mind settles more easily after deep breaths. Breathing slowly and deeply isn't just a relaxation trick. It's a signal to your brain that it's safe to unwind. Each deep breath tells the nervous system to shift from alertness to calm, and your thoughts often follow this rhythm. When you focus on inhaling slowly and exhaling gently, mental activity softens, tension in the body fades, and the mind can drift naturally. Even just a few conscious deep breaths before bed can make a noticeable difference, helping you move from alertness into a calm, restful state. The act of breathing itself becomes a gentle anchor for the wandering mind. Fact 73. The brain uses sleep to reset. Sleep isn't just a pause from activity, It's the brain's way of pressing the reset button. During rest, neural connections are strengthened, memories are organised, and emotional balance is restored. Small problems or lingering stresses are subtly processed, leaving the mind clearer and lighter by morning. This resetting function is why even brief, uninterrupted sleep can feel rejuvenating. Your brain isn't idle, it's actively repairing, cleaning and reorganising itself. By creating a calm environment and softening mental input before bed, you support this natural process, allowing your mind to reset more efficiently. Fact 74. Thinking of simple shapes calms the mind. Simple shapes, circles, triangles, or squares, have a surprising calming effect on the brain. Their predictable, clear patterns reduce mental effort, allowing the mind to rest. Unlike complex images or chaotic scenes, simple forms don't demand attention or analysis. Focusing on shapes, whether imagined or drawn, can help thoughts settle. The mind finds comfort in predictability and order, which is why visual exercises using basic shapes are often used in relaxation practices. Even a few minutes of imagining soft, simple forms can create mental quiet and prepare the brain for sleep. Fact 75. The mind enjoys mental, quiet space. One of the most restorative things for your brain is quiet mental space. A moment where thoughts aren't racing, where there's no pressure to analyse or solve problems, allows the mind to breathe. This isn't about forcing the brain to stop thinking. It's about letting it drift into calm awareness. Quiet space can be cultivated through gentle imagery, deep breathing, or simply noticing the present without judgment. When your mind experiences this pause, stress decreases, attention softens, and thoughts naturally slow. It's like giving your brain a gentle room to rest in, making the transition into sleep smoother and more peaceful. Fact 76. Your brain relaxes. When hearing soft descriptions, there's something almost hypnotic about soft, gentle descriptions. When someone speaks slowly and uses calming words, like describing a quiet forest, a gentle breeze, or a warm room, your brain responds immediately. Mental tension softens, attention drifts gently, and the mind begins to slow. This works because the brain loves predictability and safety. Soft descriptions provide patterns that are easy to follow, without demanding problem-solving or analysis. Even without focusing consciously on every word, your mind absorbs the rhythm and imagery, allowing thoughts to flow more gently. That's why bedtime stories, guided meditations, or soft-spoken narratives are so effective in preparing the brain for rest. Fact 77. The mind drifts naturally when tired. As fatigue sets in, the mind enters a natural state of drifting. Thoughts become less focused, more fluid, and start to wander without conscious effort. This mental drifting is not laziness. It's your brain's way of preparing for sleep. When you're tired, the mind no longer feels the urgency to process every detail or solve every problem. Instead, it allows images, memories, and gentle ideas to float freely. This natural drift helps the brain soften mental activity and transition into rest. Lying quietly in bed, noticing the weight of your body, and letting your thoughts float without trying to control them encourages this effortless mental wandering. Fact 78. Imagining small details helps the brain settle. Your brain loves noticing gentle, small details, a rippling leaf, a softly glowing light, or the texture of fabric. Focusing on these tiny calming elements helps the mind settle. Unlike complex or chaotic thoughts, small details don't require intense analysis. They provide a soft anchor for wandering attention. Imagining these gentle details before sleep is a simple but powerful tool. The brain engages just enough to remain aware, but not so much that it becomes alert or stressed. This balance encourages mental calm, making it easier for thoughts to slow down naturally and prepare for sleep. Fact 79. The brain prefers calm, steady. Pace at night. At night, your brain naturally favours calm and steady rhythms. Rapid or irregular stimuli, whether sounds, lights or mental activity, can keep the mind alert. Slow, predictable input, on the other hand, signals safety and relaxation. This is why slow music, gentle breathing, or rhythmic storytelling feels so comforting before bed. The brain synchronizes with these steady patterns, reducing alertness and softening mental chatter. When your surroundings and thoughts follow a gentle, predictable pace, the mind can drift more easily towards sleep, allowing both imagination and rest to flourish. Fact 80. Your thoughts become less logical as you get sleepy. As sleep approaches, your mind shifts from strict logic to a more fluid, imaginative state. Reasoning softens, connections become more abstract, and your thoughts may wander in ways that seem unusual during the day. This isn't a flaw, it's part of the brain's preparation for rest and dreaming. By letting go of rigid logic, the mind opens space for creativity, visualization, and emotional processing. Thoughts become more playful and less critical, creating the perfect environment for dreams to emerge and for the brain to rest fully. Fact 81. The mind is drawn to soothing imagery. Your brain has a natural attraction to soothing imagery. Gentle scenes, like calm waves, soft clouds, or a quiet garden, invite the mind to slow down. Unlike busy or harsh visuals, these calming images don't demand attention or create tension. Instead, they allow thoughts to drift freely and gently, giving the brain a sense of quiet focus. Even imagining these scenes for a few minutes can reduce mental chatter. Your mind starts noticing subtle details, soft rhythms and gentle patterns, which signal safety and relaxation. This is why visualizations, guided meditations, or even daydreaming about peaceful places feel so restorative. Soothing imagery acts like a mental lullaby, coaxing the brain into a calm, restful state. Fact 82. The brain enjoys comfort in routine. Routine has a surprising power over the brain. Predictable patterns, repeated actions, and familiar sequences signal safety and stability. When your mind encounters routine, it doesn't have to stay alert or solve new problems. It can relax. This is why bedtime rituals like reading a few pages, drinking a warm beverage, or dimming lights at the same time every night help prepare your mind for rest. The brain takes comfort in consistency, softening thoughts and easing the transition into sleep. Even small repeated cues reinforce a sense of calm and predictability, allowing mental activity to slow naturally. Fact 83. Gentle storytelling guides your thoughts. Listening to or imagining gentle storytelling is one of the most effective ways to calm the mind. Stories provide a flowing rhythm and a soft focus for attention. They don't demand problem-solving or immediate action. The brain simply follows along, letting imagination and reflection take the lead. This guidance is subtle but powerful. Mental chatter softens, emotions settle, and thoughts drift along the narrative's pace. The brain enjoys this structure because it combines familiarity with gentle stimulation, offering a perfect pathway to rest. Soft storytelling acts like a gentle hand, guiding your mind toward peaceful, unhurried thought patterns. Fact 84. Your mind grows quieter the longer you lie. Still, simply lying still can have a profound effect on the brain. Movement and activity stimulate mental processing, but stillness gives the mind space to settle. The longer you remain motionless, the more thoughts soften and drift quietly. This effect is enhanced when combined with dim light, deep breathing, or a calm environment. Each passing minute of stillness signals to the brain that the day's demands are over and it's safe to slow down. Gradually, mental chatter fades, attention relaxes, and the mind prepares for rest. It's a gentle, natural way to transition into sleep without forcing it. Fact 85. The brain unwinds when not interrupted. Interruptions, even small ones, keep the brain alert, Every notification, sudden noise, or unexpected movement triggers attention and slows relaxation. In contrast, uninterrupted quiet allows the mind to unwind fully. When left alone in a calm environment, the brain gradually softens mental activity, sorts memories, and prepares for dreams. Thoughts drift freely, and subtle processing continues without effort. Creating space for uninterrupted rest is one of the most effective ways to help the brain transition from wakefulness to sleep. Even brief periods of quiet can have a lasting effect on mental calm and restorative rest. Fact 86. Your imagination becomes more fluid before sleep. There's something magical about the moments just before sleep. Your imagination starts to stretch, wander, and flow in ways that are often harder to achieve during the day. As alertness decreases and mental filters relax, the mind becomes less rigid and more open to creativity. Ideas drift together in unusual ways, scenes appear vividly, and even small daydreams can feel immersive. This fluidity happens naturally. When the brain no longer needs to focus on solving problems or monitoring the environment, it can explore freely. Memories blend with imagined scenarios, emotions mingle with thoughts, and your inner world becomes a soft canvas for your mind to wander. This is why some people suddenly come up with creative ideas at night, or wake up with solutions that seemed elusive during the day. Even subtle practices enhance this fluidity. Visualizing gentle scenes, imagining calm stories, or focusing on peaceful scenarios encourages the brain to follow a free-flowing path. Thoughts no longer feel pressured or sharp. They float effortlessly, moving from one image or idea to another. Your imagination is like a river at night. No dammed-up structures, just gentle movement and soft blending of colours and shapes. This natural openness prepares the mind for dreaming, allowing both conscious and subconscious processes to intertwine. It's not just creativity for art or writing. The fluidity helps process emotions, consolidate experiences, and prepare the brain for restorative sleep. When you let yourself enjoy this mental freedom, sleep becomes a smoother, gentler transition, guided by your mind's own flowing rhythm. Fact 87. The mind softens. Sharp thoughts at night. During the day, your mind can be sharp, alert, and critical, constantly analysing, comparing, and reacting. But as night approaches, there's a remarkable softening. Thoughts lose their edge, urgency fades, and mental chatter slows. Even worries that seemed pressing in the afternoon feel lighter, almost as if they've been filtered through calm night air. This softening is part of the brain's natural preparation for rest. The mind no longer needs to make rapid decisions or stay constantly vigilant. Neural activity slows, patterns of thought become more fluid, and the brain starts to organize information in a gentle, effortless way. Softening sharp thoughts isn't about ignoring problems, it's about giving your mind space to release tension. By lying down, focusing on calming images, or simply noticing your breath, you help your brain continue this natural process. Thoughts become more like gentle reflections than urgent tasks, creating the perfect environment for relaxation and sleep. Fact 88. The brain lowers alertness. When safety is a powerful signal for the mind. When the brain perceives that you're in a secure, comfortable environment, alertness decreases naturally. The nervous system slows, muscles relax, and mental activity softens. This response is subtle, but profound. Even small cues, a dimly lit room, quiet surroundings, or familiar bedding, tell the brain that it doesn't need to scan for threats. Mental chatter fades, attention drifts, and the mind enters a restful state. The more consistently you create safe environments, the easier it becomes for the brain to lower alertness and allow sleep to arrive naturally. Feeling safe isn't just physical, it's also mental. Gentle routines, soft sounds, or familiar visual patterns reinforce this sense of security. Your mind responds immediately, preparing for rest by shifting from vigilance to calm reflection. Fact 89. Your mind is naturally rhythmic. Even without noticing, your mind has its own rhythm. Thoughts, emotions, and attention rise and fall in subtle cycles throughout the day and night. As evening approaches, these rhythms slow, allowing mental activity to settle gently. This natural cadence is why repetitive, predictable patterns are so soothing at night. Your brain synchronizes with gentle rhythms, whether the slow beat of music, steady breathing, or soft-spoken words, creating harmony with its own internal pace. When you follow these rhythms, the mind drifts easily, letting thoughts soften and calm settle in. Nighttime is when this internal rhythm is most noticeable. Attention moves more slowly, imagination flows freely, and even emotions feel more manageable. By honoring your mind's natural cadence, you help it transition seamlessly from wakefulness to rest. Fact 90. Calm repetition creates mental peace. Repetition, when gentle and predictable, is one of the most calming signals for the brain. Slow, steady actions or repeated thoughts provide a mental anchor, giving the mind something simple to follow. The predictability allows mental energy to shift away from problem-solving or alertness, letting thoughts drift and soften naturally. This is why bedtime routines, soft chants, or even repetitive breathing exercises feel so effective. Repetition doesn't require focus or analysis. It simply creates a safe, predictable environment for the brain to rest. Over time, this repeated rhythm encourages mental peace, making it easier for sleep to arrive gently and effortlessly. By combining calm repetition with dim lighting, gentle imagery, and relaxed posture, you provide your mind with everything it needs to slow down. The brain responds naturally, mental chatter fades, and a sense of quiet well-being prepares you for a deep, restorative night of sleep. Fact 91. The brain listens. Even when tired. Even when your body is exhausted, your brain never truly shuts off. It continues to listen and process the world around you, picking up soft sounds, gentle tones, and familiar voices. This doesn't mean you're fully alert. Instead, the brain is selectively attentive, noticing patterns that signal safety and calm. For instance, a soft, steady voice can guide your thoughts. A gentle song can slow mental activity, or even the hum of a fan can create a subtle rhythm that helps the mind settle. The brain interprets these cues subconsciously, easing tension and preparing the nervous system for rest. This is why people can fall asleep to quiet background sounds, yet still respond if something unusual occurs. Your brain is quietly listening even as you drift. Fact 92. The mind stores emotional memories. During sleep isn't just for resting the body. It's also a time for the brain to organize and store emotional memories. Events from the day, fleeting joys, small frustrations, or meaningful moments are processed and filed. This helps the mind understand emotions better and prevents unresolved feelings from lingering. By consolidating these emotional memories, the brain lightens the mental load. Stressful or confusing experiences are softened, and pleasant moments are reinforced, making you feel emotionally balanced when you wake. Even if you aren't aware of it, your mind is actively taking care of your emotional health while you rest. This is one of the quiet miracles of sleep. The brain works behind the scenes to restore calm and clarity. Fact 93. You imagine more slowly when relaxed. Relaxation changes the speed of your thoughts. When you're calm and comfortable, mental images unfold more slowly and vividly. The mind isn't rushing, comparing, or analyzing. It simply explores scenes and ideas at an unhurried pace. This slow imagination is soothing. It allows you to notice gentle details, the sway of a tree, the shimmer of water, the softness of a cloud, and gives your brain a chance to settle. Unlike rapid, scattered thinking, this unhurried imagery doesn't create tension or urgency. Instead, it provides a natural path for the mind to drift toward rest and dreams. Fact 94. Your brain produces calming chemicals at night. As evening approaches, your brain begins releasing chemicals that promote relaxation. Neurotransmitters and hormones signal the nervous system to slow down, reduce alertness, and ease tension. These chemical changes are subtle but powerful, creating a natural foundation for sleep. For example, certain compounds help soften stress responses, lower heart rate, and calm mental chatter. The combination of these chemicals, the natural nighttime rhythm, and a quiet environment allows the mind to transition smoothly into rest. Even without conscious effort, your brain is preparing both body and mind for restorative sleep, helping you wake up refreshed and balanced. Fact 95. The mind eases stress. When focusing on one detail. One of the simplest ways to calm a busy mind is to focus on a single detail. This could be the rise and fall of your breath, a gentle sound, or a mental image like a floating leaf or a softly glowing light. By giving your attention to one thing, the brain stops bouncing between scattered thoughts and tension begins to dissolve. This focused attention acts like a gentle anchor. Mental energy that would otherwise be spent on worry or analysis is redirected toward a calm, stable point. As a result, the mind softens, stress decreases, and the pathway to sleep becomes smoother. Even brief moments of single-point focus can transform a restless mind into one ready for gentle rest. Fact 96. The brain loves gentle cues of quiet. There's something almost instinctive about the way the brain responds to quiet. Not just silence, but gentle cues of calm, a soft hum, the faint rustle of leaves, or even a slow, steady voice, signal the mind that the environment is safe. When the brain notices these cues, it starts to slow its mental activity, allowing thoughts to drift instead of racing. Quiet cues are subtle, yet their effect is profound. Unlike loud or sudden sounds, which trigger alertness and tension, gentle quiet invites the mind to relax. The brain interprets these signals as a chance to let go, reducing neural chatter and creating a pathway to rest. That's why soft background noise like a quiet fan or distant rainfall can feel surprisingly comforting. It's not just about masking other sounds. It's about providing gentle, steady input that guides the brain toward a state of calm. By combining these cues with dim lighting and a comfortable environment, you create a holistic sense of peace. The brain doesn't need to work hard. It simply follows the gentle rhythm of the quiet, softening attention and mental energy. Over time, these small signals accumulate, helping the mind transition smoothly into a restful state and even into dreamful sleep. Fact 97. Familiarity helps the mind relax. Familiar environments, routines, and sounds have a unique way of calming the mind. The brain finds comfort in predictability because it signals safety and stability. When surroundings, routines, or even smells are familiar, the mind doesn't have to stay alert or problem solve. It can let go and rest. This is why bedtime rituals work so effectively. Whether it's dimming the lights, playing the same soft music, or following a small routine, the brain recognizes these cues and relaxes naturally. Familiarity provides a subtle reassurance that allows thoughts to drift, emotions to soften, and mental tension to decrease. Even tiny details, a favorite blanket, a particular scent, or a soft voice, can reinforce this effect, giving the mind a gentle anchor as it prepares for sleep. Familiarity doesn't just make the mind comfortable, it actively encourages restorative processes. The brain can organize memories, process emotions, and reduce stress more efficiently when it feels secure. By leaning on the calming power of familiar cues, you give your mind the perfect environment to slow down, drift gently, and ease into a peaceful night's rest. Fact 98. Your thoughts grow quieter the longer you breathe deeply. Breathing is one of the most direct ways to influence your mind. Slow, deep breaths act like a rhythm the brain can follow. With each long inhale and gentle exhale, mental chatter begins to soften. Thoughts that once felt urgent or sharp start to drift more gently, like leaves floating on a calm stream. The effect is cumulative. The longer you focus on deep, steady breathing, the quieter the mind becomes. Neural activity that supports alertness and problem-solving reduces, while patterns associated with relaxation increase. This is why mindfulness and breath-focused exercises are so effective for sleep. They provide the brain with a predictable rhythm, signaling that it's safe to unwind. Even without consciously trying to relax, focusing on the slow breathing creates a natural, gentle pathway for the mind to settle. Thoughts become softer, attention drifts inward, and mental energy begins to flow toward calmness. By making slow, deep breathing a part of your pre-sleep routine, you give your brain a reliable signal that rest is both welcome and safe. Fact 19E. The brain restores balance. During rest, sleep isn't just about pausing activity. It's an active process of restoration. The brain uses rest to rebalance emotions, organize memories, and regulate physiological processes. Small stresses from the day are smoothed out, mental energy is replenished, and neural networks are refreshed. This restorative function is why a good night's sleep leaves you feeling clearer, calmer, and more prepared for challenges. Even subtle practices, like dim lighting, soft sounds, or gentle visualization, support this natural balancing act. By creating a calm environment and softening mental activity before sleep, you allow the brain to focus fully on restoration. Rest is a quiet, active process. While your body rests, your mind is still working behind the scenes, aligning thoughts, emotions, and neural patterns into a more harmonious state. The more you support this natural restoration, the easier it becomes for the brain to perform its nightly balancing act efficiently and effectively. Fact 100. The mind drifts peacefully into sleep when guided. Softly. The final piece of the puzzle is gentle guidance. When the mind is led softly, through calm images, steady rhythms, deep breathing, or soothing sounds, it drifts naturally into sleep. There's no force, no pressure, just a gradual transition from wakefulness to rest. This soft guidance works because the brain responds to gentle patterns and predictability. Thoughts drift around comforting anchors, mental tension fades, and neural activity slows. Even if the body is still adjusting, the mind can find its own rhythm, flowing effortlessly towards sleep. By combining all the elements we've explored, soft imagery, deep breathing, calm repetition, familiar cues, and gentle narratives, the mind is perfectly poised for a peaceful night. Sleep becomes less of a task and more of a natural outcome, a gentle drift guided by the brain's own patterns and preferences.